Gentleman yields. And I think we've covered everyone. Mr. Ranking Member, you're recognized for a closing statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to associate myself with Mr. Garcia's statement. I can't believe that we would send somebody or anyone from our country somewhere else and say, well, we cut off all communication. We're a better country than that. And I just thank Mr. Garcia for raising that question. Secretary Noem, at the start of this hearing, you stood here and took an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Then you sat down and dodged the truth over and over and over for a little more than 3 hours, so help you God. You repeatedly testified that you and the Department of Homeland Security will follow the Constitution, the laws, and the order of the Supreme Court. Well, the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution says that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
Welcome back to the channel, Patriots. If you're tired of the media spin, the political grandstanding, and the constant attacks on those who dare to protect our sovereignty, then this video is for you. Today, we're breaking down the latest hit job disguised as congressional hearing. The left-wing circus was in full swing as Democrat Congressman Bennie Thompson went after South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, someone I deeply respect not with facts, but with rehearsed outrage and emotional manipulation. Let's get one thing straight. This wasn't about finding the truth or protecting Americans. This was about political theater. Thompson accused Noem of dodging the truth. Are you kidding me? Kristi Noem has been one of the few public servants with a backbone to stand up against the swamp and say, enough is enough. She took an oath to uphold the Constitution. And unlike the radicals running Congress, she actually understands what it means.
And yet, a federal court found that the Department of Homeland Security, under your watch, believes that it has a right to stash away residents of this country in foreign prisons without the semblance of due process. So you did not tell the truth to this committee today when you said you would follow the Constitution and comply with due process. You also testified that you follow orders of the Supreme Court of the United States and all courts. But the Supreme Court unanimously directed the government to facilitate the return of Kilmar Garcia to the United States. But you just testified before this committee that Kilmar Garcia will never return to the United States. So you didn't tell the truth to this committee again when you said that you comply with court orders and decisions. You've overseen the deportation of U.S. citizen children and have claimed that their parents chose to take their children with them. But you produced no evidence that the mother, let alone both parents, of those children freely gave consent to have their children deported from the United States. In fact, everyone involved in those cases say that the mothers, in fact, did not want their children, especially their sick American children, deported. In fact, your agency lured families to ICE appointments under false pretenses, lied to them, refused to let them speak with an attorney or children's father, and deported them before a court had time to even hear the case. You've given yourself the unilateral right to deport anyone you deem a threat. You refuse to comply with court orders that try to stop you. That puts all of us at risk. Beyond your false testimony about the administration's deportation policies, you falsely stated that the administration is focused on a full range of DSH's missions. Instead, your budget request appears to reflect a view that DHS's sole purpose is to be a border wall construction agency that deports U.S. citizen children with cancer. Your budget proposed cuts to cybersecurity, emergency preparedness, and aviation security. Even before asking Congress for these budget cuts, you've overseen mass reductions in the workforce at CISA and FEMA. Despite repeated requests from this committee on how many people have been fired or have been bullied into quitting before their tenure, DHS has refused to share that information. So it should worry every American that we do not know how many people are left at FEMA to respond to disasters and how many cyber defenders still work at CISA as China and other adversaries attack our systems every day. And you made clear in response to my questioning, you have no written plans for FEMA. It is very apparent that also is no plan for CISA, where you are trying to gut the agency's funding and falsely claiming that CISA is a censorship agency. Since CISA never censored anyone, but now we are all paying the price for you buying into a baseless conspiracy theory. Secretary Noem, I'm glad that you finally came to testify before this committee, but I'm disappointed, along with a lot of my Democratic colleagues, that you stood here and took an oath to tell the truth, then repeatedly failed to do so to this committee. Let me just say, if you dance with the devil long enough, he's liable to follow you home. I hope that you will stop dancing around the truth and start telling the truth so this committee can do its work, helping to defend DHS from the attacks you've launched against it. Mr. Chair, you.
Thompson tries to twist due process in the Constitution to defend individuals who are breaking the law while ignoring the rights of American citizens who are footing the bill, facing the consequences, and losing their communities. They're upset that DHS detained people without the full legal bells and whistles. Folks, if you cross into another country illegally, especially in today's world, you should expect serious consequences. And yet, these Democrats are crying because DHS isn't offering hotel rooms, massages, and lawyers on taxpayer money. How about the due process for ranchers on the southern border whose land is being trespassed on? What about the due process for American citizens who've lost loved ones to fentanyl flooding across the border? Where's that compassion, Mr. Thompson? Then there's this Kilmar Garcia case. The Supreme Court allegedly ordered his return, and Kristi Noem said he's not coming back. Good. That's leadership. That's standing up to judiciary that's become more interested in activism than justice. When unelected judges make decisions that threaten national security or open the floodgates, someone has to say no. Is that controversial? Maybe in D.C. But out here in the real world, patriots understand that we either have borders or we don't. Now, Thompson claims that Kristi Noem deported sick American children. Folks, that's a disgusting lie dressed up as a sob story. These weren't American children. These were cases involving illegal immigrants manipulating the system. You don't show up to a country illegally and expect to dictate how law enforcement handles it. And if ICE used tactics to make sure individuals didn't flee or avoid deportation, good. That's called enforcing the law. What Thompson calls luring is what I call doing your job in a system where people lie, hide, and exploit loopholes every day. Then Thompson goes on a rant that DHS is acting like a border wall construction agency. I've got news for him. That's exactly what it should be. If our country had finished the wall when Trump was in office, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in today. They say building a wall is cruel. What's cruel is letting drugs pour in, letting children get trafficked, and letting American cities get overrun just so you can virtue signal and win woke points. Now they're mad Kristi Noem's DHS budget cuts back on cybersecurity and emergency prep. Where was all this concern when Democrats were pushing to defund the police, when they were tearing down the military, when they allowed China to buy up farmland near our bases? They only care about cybersecurity when it fits their narrative, like when they falsely accused CISA of being censored. Well, guess what? CISA was involved in monitoring American speech during elections. If Kristi Noem wants to audit their budget and clean house, she's doing exactly what the Constitution demands, keeping government agencies in check. Thompson complains that FEMA and CISA have lost staff. That's not a failure, that's efficiency. The federal government is bloated, unaccountable, and often incompetent. If trimming the fat means fewer career bureaucrats and more lean operations, then I say, job well done, Governor Noem. And if DHS won't hand over a list of every employee who left, maybe it's because they're tired of these witch hunts disguised as oversight. Let's talk about that cheap shot at the end. If you dance with the devil long enough, he'll follow you home. Wow, that's the kind of juvenile rhetoric that belongs in a campaign attack ad, not in a congressional hearing. But it shows you exactly what this was: an ambush, a show trial, and a smear campaign all wrapped into one. Here's the truth, folks. Kristi Noem isn't perfect, but she's fighting the fight that so many others in Washington are too cowardly to take on. She's defending borders, standing up to activist judges, holding corrupt agencies accountable, and yes, telling it like it is. When you see the left come at someone this hard, you know they're over the target. So to Kristi Noem, keep standing your ground. And to the American people, don't fall for the emotional manipulation and political theater. Stand for law. Stand for truth. Stand for America. If you appreciate this message, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you never miss a dose of truth the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.